Hi, I'm Tony from Ascension Healing Center in Cape Coral, Florida, and I have with me Renee Guidelli. She is the author of Inner Alchemy Oracle cards, and so we're going to talk to her a little bit about what the cards are about, and you know, we'll go from there. We'll see what happens.
Awesome.
Hi, Renee.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me, Tony. It's been really awesome seeing you using the cards at the Ascension Healing Center. The first thing that kind of comes to mind is that Ascension card with the pyramid and the teepee and the blue and the gold. And I'm like, oh, so perfect. So it's just been such a joy connecting with you on that level.
Yeah, thank you. I love the deck. So I wanted to just get a little idea of what the deck's all about and everything. So, how did you come up with the Inner Alchemy Oracle cards? How did that come to be?
Great question. So I've always loved the word alchemy and that idea of turning the lead into gold or the dross into something really shiny. So alchemy has been like a really beautiful word that I have um, leaned into for so many years. And what better alchemist or alchemy than for us to learn what it is to internalize something and become from the inside out so we can influence the world around us. And so the whole idea of inner alchemy, it didn't happen overnight. And honestly, I feel like most of it was a compilation of many years of my teaching of various types of archetypes. I have done shamanic work. I have been part of Buddhist meditation groups. I have really studied a lot with the goddess, and I was very involved in churches as spiritual leaders in various types of religious sects, sects, and so on. And so I felt like inner alchemy became all of these aspects and pieces of me that I started to see in others as well. And the idea of, kind of alchemizing your earth to spirit journey was really exciting for me.
Okay, cool. So, what was like the first moment like you knew that you needed to for this deck to exist and be shown to the world?
I love that question the most because I would have never in a million years thought that I would have created a deck. I was like, I mean, I have maybe a couple, like I don't have like a million decks like everybody in the world. I have like a couple decks that, I have used through the years. I am really more of a teacher of teaching people how to develop their own intuition and their own alchemizing journey. But I literally heard spirit tell me one day, like, you're going to create a deck. And I'm like denying it, doubting it. You know how we do that, right? Like, no, can't be
Right.
me. What are you talking about? And it just so happened that that opportunity came into my lap very naturally. And I still denied it, but it was so in my face, so to speak, I couldn't deny it anymore. And it was through some of my psychic development services and stuff that someone had been working along the lines of creating various decks and looking into ways to get their work out there. And that's when I heard you're going to work with this person and you're going to do this. And it was about 6, maybe 8 months later that the nudge was too much to ignore. What I think is really fascinating about this deck, and I do want to share, is I really thought these were going to be light and airy. Like I was an artist growing up. I went to art school. And so to me, anything with bright colors or pastels or things like that always drew me in. But what surprised me is they started to be light and airy, and then they took on a whole different level. And I kept hearing like, no, this is for like mostly the sacred feminine, mostly for the divine feminine, for those of us that have denied the sacred feminine, and those components of ourselves, the maiden, mother, crone, all of that from ancient years was coming through these cards, and mostly through the cycles, the moon cycles, the women's cycles. And I was like, oh man, this is deep and intense, and this is what you want me to do. And then I would hear like, you're going to use gold because that's the alchemy card, you know, the alchemy colors. And there's going to be a goddess and a grail code carrier. And so I just kept kind of playing around with these notions. And I thought there was only going to be like 44 cards. And the next thing I know, it's like, no, you have more. You're not done birthing these cards. So it kind of went from this like light and airy and fun little place to like this, we're getting serious. You have a responsibility when you give birth to these. You need to know what you're doing to help the world and to ascend and vibrate at a higher level. So that's always kind of a fun little story to tell, because really took me through the the alchemization, the whole internalization of it all, for sure.
Yeah. And what about like, spirit has a way of, telling us what we are supposed to do, and we don't always listen until you get the knock on the head, and then you're like, okay, fine. So it
Yeah.
sounds like that was kind of like an evolution for you.
Yeah,
And
and you know what it was too, which spirit has this amazing way of doing, it was like surrender. Like I had to, and it really like that's the creatrix. Like I had to surrender to the creatrix because she was the one that was running. She was running, the tape. She was running the deck. She was saying, this is what you're going to do. This is what you're going to do. And I was like, oh, okay, okay. And so I love the creatrix because we're very familiar with the creator,
right.
but the creatrix, well, that's a whole different kind of energy. So, and you're right, there was a lot of surrender and spirit saying, this is what you're going to do. So,
So do you think that's what makes your cards different than other decks? Is the way the process you went through, or
yep, because I'll tell you why. And it reminds me of, I notice this when I do one-on-one services with people. You have a lot of information that you could share with somebody, but there's almost something like a little cork or a little something holding you back and saying, just a tiny little bit, just a tiny little bit, just a tiny little bit. Why? Because they have it within themselves to be able to translate, to be able to know what your sessions are about, to be able. So the less you give them, the more they start to become empowered and feel like, oh, I've got this. So I would say that that is where, they are alive. They're very much alive. I mean, people tell me all the time, and I've heard for the last year or so, they're like, I don't know how to describe it, but like, I mean, I'll give them to somebody, they'll put them in their hands, and like, whoa, these have way too much energy. Like, I'm not ready for them. So can I just give them back to you? And others are like, oh, wow, I can really feel the love. I can really feel the spark. And then it's like, okay, let's go there. So there's a lot of different things that make them different, I guess you could say, but more or less, I didn't want to like give away the farm. Like I didn't want to have so much information there that there wasn't translation. But I will say the numbers were super important. As a matter of fact, I remember going back and forth, and I heard each number is just as important as the word, just as important as the colors. I mean, it all was purposeful and all intentional. So I hope that answers your question a little bit.
yeah, no, and I actually realized that as I've been pulling cards every day, I'm like, oh, that's why that's the number 7, I betcha. Or so I caught on to that. I was like, I think that might have been intentional, like why that's 13 or whatever. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that I picked that up, and that was why it was. So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
It is cool that you noticed that. Fantastic. I love it.
Yeah. So so do you want to go through like a way for somebody to start like using the cards, or how would you use the cards, like?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I'd like to know maybe even how you use them as well. But I feel like the easiest way, and I have to tell you this, and I'll get back to answering that question, but I can't, there's been so many people that have gotten these cards, and it's the first time they've ever used cards, ever. Like they've never used Oracle cards, they've never used tarot cards, and they're like, this is my first deck, it's my only deck, and I will never, like they just use them daily to pull, to just pull random cards to start their day. So it gives you an essence, an idea of what your day is. I have had wonderful. I've heard wonderful stories of where cards will be pulled to make big decisions. Like if you're nervous about a decision and you don't really know what to do, the card will be pulled. So I'll just say a couple of those things and then we'll pull some cards. Also the confidence, how much their confidence in their own intuition. And again, when I say intuition too, I mean like making those decisions, those big decisions in life where instead of going to somebody to answer those questions, you're answering them yourself. And that yes, that, is that you were looking for, or that affirmation. So I love that. I mean, they have been used in so many different ways. And so, yeah, so what I typically tell people is there's certain ways where you can either clear or also activate the cards within yourself. I have a little declaration in there. And I love the declaration because that's sort of your way of declaring to the universe and yourself, committing. You're committed to this. Like I've had people say also, well, I haven't opened up the cards yet because it just doesn't feel like the right time. And I'll be like, oh, you're right. Well, the new moon's coming out, or this is a Wheel of the Year calendar event that's going on. Now is a great time. Pull it out and see what card resonates with you. So there's just so many different ways to use it, but I typically tell people, you can either knock it, hold them close to your heart, and then just say, what's the energy for today? And as most people do, they can shuffle, you can shuffle them and then they either fall out. Another way that I tell people is numbers. Like for instance, I'm hearing 7 right now. So I like to take the deck and I would do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 4, 5, 6, 7. So what is that card? So it's Grace with the moon. So, and I'll ask you, like, when you see this card, Grace, what does that mean for you?
Boy, I didn't know I was going to be put on the spot. I don't know when as soon as, well, I mean, before when you said the word,
Yeah.
I just felt calm and kind of very, I don't know what word I'm looking for, but sort of like belle of the ball kind of thing. Like very, like Grace Kelly sort of
Oh, yeah.
vibe. But with the moon is, and the colors of the card, it's it's almost subdued,
Yeah.
but with the bright moon in the back.
Yeah.
So, like she's standing in front of the moon and kind of it's illuminated behind her.
Yeah.
So almost like support.
Yeah. 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 I love it. And that's, and for me, that's, I was thinking of like prayer, right? Or just having that, like that contemplation. And like you said, the illumination. And I love the Grace Kelly, the belle of the ball. And so there's lots of different ways that we can translate this. But also like, so for instance, when I was pulling this card, my intention was, what's the energy of the day? So it almost to me feels like she's kind of taking care of things. This grace, this like all is well in this world, and we are taken care of. And so there might be things that we have going on later on today or tonight, and we're like, oh, what am I going to do about this, or what am I going to do about that? But it's taken care of, it's, and that Grace Kelly or the belle of the ball is taking care of it. So there's just so many different ways to be able to kind of work with the cards. And like I said, every day, I'll give you one other example, especially from a healing perspective, because I very much believe in the healing aspect. There is a card, number 44, and it's the source card. And I have literally seen and been told that when somebody is looking to heal something, that they write it down, they place the 44 source code card, which is a code, right next to their bed. And they might want to write that down, and for like 4 days, just kind of contemplate on it. So it becomes almost like a grid as well. So there's
Yeah.
so many different ways. It probably wouldn't be a bad idea now that I'm talking to you about it. Maybe just creating like a little pamphlet or a little, something that that I can send to people and show like these are all the different ways that you can work with the cards, because yeah, there's so many different aspects to it. But I've seen that many times where it could be a relationship or it could be, something karmically or anything like that. And because that 44 holds such a powerful powerful essence, and it's also source, which also is tribe family. You're basically giving it up to a higher power and saying, once again, this isn't for me, take care of it. But when you go to bed at night, know that you're kind of going to that place to receive that information and that
Oh, I
healing.
love that. Well, I mean, as you know, I've been pulling cards for a couple of weeks now, and I was saying earlier that not there have been no duplicates, so which is unbelievable to me. And I also noticed that the cards have a way of telling me which one is going to be the one I pick because they jump out or they fall out of the deck. I'm just, shuffling, regularly shuffling, not anything crazy. And a card will fall out onto the floor and it'll jump out onto my lap. And I think I love that. I love that about a deck that interacts with you, and
Beautiful.
tells you this is it, there's no doubt, and
Yeah.
whatever. And like usually when I pull cards, I shuffle, I cut, I do the tapping thing,
Nice.
and I'm just drawn to either pull the top one or one from the middle. I just get
Yeah.
a message. So, and every time it's even for myself that I pull a card for myself, it's been so spot on. And then when I pull a card for everyone else that I post, it's either related to the card I picked for myself, or it's, like today, I saw the card that I pulled for the collective was on the bottom of the deck. So when I picked it up this morning, I looked on the bottom, I was like, oh, wow, that's a cool card. And then I shuffled, pulled a card for myself, and then I shuffled again and pulled the card that was on the bottom of the deck. And I'm like, okay, I saw that twice. So that means it's not only for everyone else, it's for me too. Like you know, I think it's just great. I mean, the way the cards, like I said, almost choose you,
Oh, that's beautiful.
you
Yeah.
know?
Well, and it's so like, I just can't tell you how amazing it is to be on the receiving end of hearing that, because it's like, that's why they were created. And I think it's not just about cards. We have so many dreams and so many wishes and so many projects that have been kind of kept, buried inside of us. And when we give birth to that, or when we express it, or when we put it out into the world, one of the most amazing feelings in the world is, not everybody's going to get it, and that's okay. But the ones that do, they're meant to get it, and they're meant to have this incredible internal change, transformation happen within themselves that you just can't put words in. And I feel it's magical. I mean, it really is magical, and I believe that is the world we are here to create, and that is part of the alchemy as well. Healing, spiritual stuff, metaphysical, whether we've been doing for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, it doesn't have to be boring or hard or pain and suffering. It can be fun and light, and it also helps us deal with some of the darker aspects, because we are both the balance, the yin and the yang. And so hearing your experiences and what it's done for you and is doing in your space, and what it's doing for others that are like you and that you're attracting into your space, is just, that's why I created it. And so it's, to me, it's like looking in the mirror. It's thank you.
Thank you. So, is there anything else you want to tell us about the cards? Or I know you have, I think I mentioned to people that you have a school, an Oracle school.
Yeah, thank you.
So
Yeah,
do you
I'd
want
like,
to?
sure. Yep, I'd like to talk a little bit about that. So I really didn't have any idea that there was going to be a school. I just created the cards, and as Spirit did with the cards, Spirit was like, you have, 52, 53, 54 cards. There's 52 weeks in the year. We really want to make sure that, these cards are getting the attention that they need. And so at heart, I'm a bit of a teacher. So I don't know if I'd really want to call it a school, because not everybody always agrees with the idea of a school. It could be an academy. It could be, an institute, whatever you want to call it. But the school is definitely a way for people to go deeper with the cards. And the school, how that works is there are YouTube videos. There's actually a Facebook group page, because I always do pages. I try and come up with as many different ways for the contacts to happen, the connection. And we also have a platform. And so the platform is as simple as all of the cards have about 15-minute videos or so. And just to kind of give you a little bit of an idea here, I mean, you can't really read it, but I'll give you an idea. This is the Enlightenment card. So it's how to read the card, the journal prompt that goes with it, and the overview contemplation as well. And that, because they're done week to week, I really liked people to kind of spend a week with it and work through it. However, it's now kind of free, meaning like it's free to be able to go in there, get the video, get the card meaning. You can even do a random draw. So all of the information is there right at once. I recently was working with a woman who decided she wants to learn how to do the card. She's never to read for others. And she said, having access to the school on my phone allows me to go deeper with a person that I'm giving a contemplation with. So she even came up with this amazing idea. I want to have like a little card that I can hand people and say, this is your meditation. This is your contemplation for the week during, after your reading. So it keeps it alive and it keeps it moving. And I really believe that, I love that aspect of the school. I think it's really fun. And I also, the last piece I want to tell you about it is I love to incorporate little doohickeys, like this is a stone, or so the stone would match, the card. So like, for instance, if I had source, I might have some gold beads, and the gold beads would relate to something. So anything and everything that gives you kind of this aha epiphany moment for you, I like to include. So yeah.
I like that. I didn't realize that you did that with the, you know, I watched a couple of your videos. It was a while ago, so but I like that the beads or the stone or whatever, that's cool. Because that's
Yeah, because I mean, I'll just pull one, because you can like, so I pulled like reflection, right? So here's the reflection card, and you could just like, you can pull something from, let's say I'm thinking like golden healer stone. So the golden healer stone could be placed right next to it. And if you have a golden healer stone, then it just makes another connection to the card itself. And that's a lot of fun, because that also makes it multi-dimensional, multi-level. So
right.
now it's like, I don't know much about that card, but I understand what a golden healer stone does. And, that's, again, it's that gold. There's definitely a theme of the gold. So
Yeah.
it's related to ascension. It's related to up leveling. It's related to the gold within ourselves, that alchemization that we're becoming, we're
Yeah,
becoming
that's so
alchemized.
cool. I love that.
Thank you.
Um, so is there anything else you'd want to talk about? I guess, I should ask this a different way. What's the one thing you want somebody to know if they're feeling called to like begin spiritual practice, or just want to
Sure.
tap into their guidance, or
I love that. I think that people get this notion that they have to be special to like start to meditate or to tune into your guidance, or you have to come from a long line of, witches or somebody who's a healer, and that's BS. I'm just going to call BS with that. And I feel like it's kind of like the Nike thing, you just do it. So for instance, you wake up in the morning and you might start journaling, or you might write something down and say, I'm looking for some guidance on this, or you just simply close your eyes, place your hand on your heart, and just breathe. But I do feel that having that intention and being a little bit clearer with what it is that you're looking for, you know, what's the next step for me? Why am I here? Things like that. You have to have kind of that question. And I will say there is a consistency and a commitment to it, but you don't have to carve out 20, 30, 40 minutes. I mean, things are happening so quickly. It's just a minute here or, oh, wait a minute. You know, I'm stretching. I get some of my best information in the bathroom. I'm just going to simply tell you, like, you just go, you're just sitting there and you're like, oh, I'm in my own space right now. And I'm just going to, you know, I'm going to say, thank you, gratitude for, you know, for anything. And there's just so many different ways where, you know, we can start our spiritual journey, but I think the most important is to just want to and not feel like you have to, it has to be perfect or you have to read a book or there's so much out there. And honestly, Tony, one of the most exciting and really positive and inspirational things that are happening in the world right now is the more we are unhappy with the way things are, the more we rise to the occasion to find out what we can do about it, you know, and that's where we learn how to be more intentional with our spiritual journey. So, but meditation for sure. And it doesn't have to be sitting there and oming. I mean, meditation is coloring a mandala or taking a walk in the woods or just intending that you're contemplating and meditating a better way. So,
Yeah, no, I love that. I totally agree with you too. For the longest time, I felt like I had to be in a certain, like, know certain things or be a certain way or whatever to do things, and to tap into spirituality and to learn how to do all that. And then one day I was just, you know, a friend of mine said, just do it. And that's what I did. And then, and just listen to those little signs that spirit sends you. And the more you listen and the more you acknowledge when you get those messages and signs, the more you get. And it's just, you just go crazy from there. And I
I
think that's just so wonderful.
I love that. And I'm feeling intuitively like I think it would be really cool to actually pull a card or even do a simple little spread on that in reference to if someone's watching this video and being like, you know, well, where do I start my spiritual journey or what do I need to know about a spiritual practice? And so let's do this because I do love to work with other people. So I'm going to shuffle, but then I'm just going to tell you to stop when you want me to stop so that both of our energy is in here. How's that?
Okay. I stop.
Okay. So a dream time. I love this card so much. I actually just sent the video to somebody who came to our women's retreat we did here a couple weeks ago, and she pulled this. Whoops, looks like the internet is a little unstable. So dream time, when we think of this is, I call her Penelope the Dream Weaver. And she is like underground waiting for us to just ask, to just be like, what do I need to know? How do I stay in the flow? Where is my heart's desire? And these little gold balls, little beads, they're like our wishes. They're orbs. There are our heart wishes. And we don't want to forget about these things because I truly believe that part of our spiritual practice is getting back to what our heart really wants and our soul is crying for as well. It's not like, oh, I'm going to meditate or I'm going to have a spiritual practice because everybody else is doing it. It has to come through you and for you and to you in your own unique way. And all we have to do is ask and be open to, you know, what the universe is trying to show us about that. And then the next one I pulled here is insight. And I love this because it also means that, and I do feel like this is important, we have to have a little bit of a vision. We have to have kind of that third eye vision. And the other thing about that, and I'll just tell you really briefly, part of my intuitive development classes have always been it's not so much about the third eye exercises as much as it's about being able to have the vision as for the future as well. Like being able to be open to a different vision. This is like the shamans and, you know, the seers and the oracles. They had this ability to be able to see beyond what was in front of them. And I think once we start doing that and we look at, we've got dream time and vision, we're both talking about the future. We're talking about what we see and how we actually translate that. So, yeah.
That's cool. I love that. Thanks for
Yeah.
doing that. That's cool.
Absolutely. I love doing that kind of stuff. So, anything else, or you think we should wrap it up soon?
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, we can wrap it up. Is there anything else you want to say? Or and just so you guys know, I will put Renee's information when I post this video, her website and the school and all that stuff. So you'll have all that.
I just once again, I just really want to thank you, Tony. You're a really fun person. You have a great personality. I'm kind of sad that you're so far away. But hey, maybe we'll hang out in dream time, right?
There you go. Yes, I love that.
This has really been a magical conversation, and I really want to thank you. For those of you who are watching, and for you, Tony, and we'll talk a little bit more about this afterwards. I really am working on a beautiful opportunity for the cards and the school to be combined together in a way where people can go deeper with this opportunity. And I'm looking at, it's cooking around the summer solstice. And yes, I did do that on purpose and said that, but it is something that's cooking around the summer solstice, around Litha. One of the things that I will say about these cards as well, because there are so many different ways to use them, is there's various cards within that not only have goddess archetypes, and they've been used in a lot of my goddess circles and stuff, but they also have the wheel of the year. So, and I even started to do something with the tarot, making, being able to use the tarot with the alchemy cards. So you can interchange these cards. Absolutely. You can use the inner alchemy cards with other cards for sure, as long as you know what that spread is. As you know what I'm saying? Like if you have a reason for that spread, then you would just be using the same cards. So, so yeah, I just want to thank you so very much. And I just feel like I want to say stay tuned because magic is afoot.
Thank you, Renee. I appreciate it. And getting on and talking to us a little bit. And yeah, more to come. I can't
Yeah,
wait.
for sure.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.